so proud to be here.
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. I'm so happy I could come.
Well, I can't say it, but howdy.
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here.
Well, howdy!
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here.
Well, I'm just so proud to have you here.
You better do something soon because my pucker-upper's going to be tuckered out.
Well, okay, man, don't let this get around that I'm easy, you know.
Oh, that just sets my knees to knocking like a woodpecker in a lumber yard.
Hi, everybody. Life with Aaron back with you, and today we are in Centerville, Tennessee, the hometown of one of Tennessee's greatest entertainers. That would be Miss Minnie Pearl. But to start us off, we're going to have breakfast at one of her favorite places, Breese's Cafe. Breese's has been a town staple since 1939, and it's one of the most highly recommended restaurants in the area. We are looking forward to it. After grabbing our seat, a look to my right lets me know I'm in the right place. This restaurant has been a staple for many generations of Tennesseans, not to mention people from all across the world as they make the pilgrimage to find Grinder's Switch. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Centerville, located in Hickman County, its square is absolutely beautiful. The majority of the buildings are at least 100 years old, including this one that you see here. I love this ceiling. Very pretty.
That's right. So I had the ham and cheese omelet with toast and hash browns. And what did you have?
I have the Denver omelet because, unlike you, I like vegetables.
Well, I would argue that point, but it's true.
I think one of the things that I take for granted living in the South is how many old main streets we still have in place. In Centerville's, a good number of buildings date back almost 200 years. And the layout of the city is still very much the same from its original founding. Walking these streets was the legendary entertainer that we know as Minnie Pearl. Born October the 25th, 1912, as Sarah Ophelia Cannon, Sarah's sisters knew that she was destined to be a star. They would take her around on pony cart rides on these very streets, teaching her to sing and to dance and to play the piano. They even talked their music teacher into letting her into recitals before the age of 2. A great lover of vaudeville and dramatic art, Sarah would go on to graduate from the prestigious Ward Belmont College, simply known as Belmont College today. And in 1934, she would work for the Atlanta-based Wayne P. Sewell Traveling Production Company, putting on plays in small towns. It was during this time that she met a mountain woman in Alabama, the one that she refers to as the original Minnie Pearl, and developed her Cousin Minnie character. But in this building, right here, the Knights of Pythias building on the square in Centerville, at a banking convention where Minnie would get the break that would change her life. In the audience was a man by the name of Bill Turner. Bill, so impressed with Minnie's routine, would call the general manager of the Grand Ole Opry, and he would say one thing: you need Minnie Pearl on your stage. After her first audition, Minnie Pearl was offered a job and $10. She was then offered to join the regular cast and would start a 50-year engagement with the Grand Ole Opry. One thing that Minnie didn't do, and that was change. She loved family, she loved the audience, and one of the things she would always say to fellow performers is love them, and they'll love you back. Riding with her father to deliver lumber to the rail yard, taking people into a magical land called Grinder's Switch, that people would actually come far and wide to find, Minnie's idealistic hometown. Well, now you're here in Centerville, and we can show it to you, including Grinder's Switch. We continue our tour on the town square. We see the old courthouse. There's been a courthouse in this location for 200 years. And one legislator you might remember, Mr. David Crockett, honed his skills right here. By the courthouse, we see a dedication to all Hitman County veterans, and you may have noticed that the courthouse is all brick. Well, that's for a reason. The 3 previous courthouses had been wood and burned down. And now we see glimpses of Miss Minnie. If you're saying, is that chicken wire? You're right. What started as a Kickstarter campaign to honor Miss Sarah then became a commission from the city for local artist Ricky Pittman. And in 2016, he began work on this sculpture. And I have to tell you, it is pretty cool. You can look at the many hours that went into producing this unique work of art, down to the price tag on her hat, her dress. It's pretty amazing. And it's definitely a focal point of the town square. Once the association started with the Grand Ole Opry, fame came quickly for Miss Sarah. Although her cousin Minnie Pearl character was blowing up, one of her great fears that she would never find that special someone. Well, at 28, she did. And in 1947, she would marry Henry Cannon, a former World War II pilot. And he would embark on a very successful business in his own right, a charter plane service for celebrities. From the 1940s onward, Minnie Pearl was in demand, stage, screen, everywhere she could go. The homespun, good-natured humor from Grinder's Switch was a hit with millions, as it still is to this day. Although her greatest love was perhaps performing at the Grand Ole Opry, Minnie never stopped, and you would see her across many of your favorite TV programs of the day.
Now, you can't be laughing when I do this, because we bump teeth. That's right, we bump teeth. You gotta buck her up. You gotta buck her up now. Aww.
And of course, many of us know Miss Minnie from her amazing wit and comedic timing on the hilarious show Hee Haw, which ran a staggering amount of seasons. I didn't realize it was this much. 1969 to 1993. Minnie was there for the majority of the run. Such a fun show.
I was born in New York City.
I was born in Georgia.
Girl, you're looking kind of pretty.
Don't you think we oughta
Get to know each other better. Take the time to find out where we can.
Gotta be some soul between the country girl and city man.
I come all the way from New York City just to be here with you all.
You all the way from New York City?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long way from Grinder Switch.
Oh, I know, but it's wonderful.
I never thought I'd hear you say New York was wonderful.
Well, the people
like
are,
it?
oh, the people are so nice. Why, some of the men, oh, they're just fresh as daisies.
Daisies?
And the subways, oh, that seems to be the place where a girl can get a feller.
Subway?
Oh, yes, and the men are so thoughty. Down in the subway, a young fella come up to me without me even asking him, and he carried my purse for me. But he got lost in the crowd before he could give it back.
On top of her game and firing on all cylinders, Minnie Pearl was approached by Nashville eccentric lawyer, politician, entrepreneur John J. Hooker, and his idea was simple. Who better to compete with Kentucky Fried Chicken than Minnie Pearl?
It's Sunday at Minnie Pearl's. Friends, family, and food aplenty.
What, fried chicken, my son?
And of course, plenty of Minnie Pearl's chicken. Plump, tasty, golden brown chicken, fried the old-fashioned way. Not too greasy, and with just the right touch of herbs and spices. Now, maybe you won't get the chance to enjoy dinner with Minnie Pearl, but you can enjoy dinner with Minnie Pearl's chicken anytime you want. Most folks say Minnie Pearl's chicken is the best going, but you'll never know till you try it.
And try it they did. Not only in Minnie did you have a fantastic spokesperson that the public believed in and had been entertained by, but you had some dang good chicken. and it was real competition for KFC, and the requests to be franchisees started to pour in. It was especially taking off in Tennessee and Florida. Minnie Pearl's Chicken was rising to the top. And then additionally, John J. Hooker worked out a deal with gospel great Mahalia Jackson to also have a run of stores with her name on it. I especially love this, Mahalia's Glorified Chicken. It looked like the future was going to be bright for this chicken franchise. And with an initial stock valuation that reached $64 million, there was room to feel like it was just going to keep going up. But many problems started to creep in. Problems with the accounting method for how Hooker and their business partners were showing profits, in addition to lack of restaurant experience both at the top and by franchisees. By the early 70s, the SEC was investigating, and Minnie Pearl Chicken, for most of the country, was out of business. Initially being investigated for stock manipulation, John J. Hooker would even say the Nixon White House was out to get him. In the end, financial backers pulled out, assets had to be sold off to pay debts, but some good things came out of this as well. An accounting method used to look at franchisees was forever changed for the better. And Mahalia Jackson franchises and some Minnie Pearl actually held on for a significant number of years. In fact, a Mahalia Jackson Nashville restaurant was open into the present. And although some initial embarrassment for Miss Jackson and Miss Cannon, it was noted that neither one had any involvement in the stock manipulation, and their careers didn't miss a beat. Moving into the 80s and 90s, there was still no star bigger than that of Minnie Pearl. Hobnobbing with presidents and heads of state, holding court in her favorite place to be, the Grand Ole Opry, where she would shine with stars of yesterday and today. Having a focal point at Opryland, USA, some would even say the theme park was built around Minnie Pearl. She was on mugs and various paraphernalia around the park, including a show of impressionists of Miss Minnie Pearl. Her star was as big as it ever has been. Having been a star of radio, stage, and screen, Minnie Pearl, moving into her 70s, was truly a pop culture icon. We now go back to the Knights of Pythias building where Miss Minnie got her start, and on the first floor is now the Chamber of Commerce for the town, and they have an amazing array of Minnie Pearl memorabilia, costumes and hats that she wore, letters from her to the fans, a picture of her playing tennis, which is one of her great joys, and one of her tennis rackets itself. Many more of her costumes and trinkets that were associated with the Cousin Minnie Pearl act that was honed over a 50-year career. Portraits of her and Roy Acuff. Pictures of Minnie that are still sold to this day, and 100% of the proceeds go to charity. Photographs from her throughout the years, pictures of her in high school, some of the early programs from her career. The Cousin Minnie character was created after Miss Sarah, who was a teacher at the time, met up with what she would describe as an Alabama mountain woman, and well, the rest was history. One of these hats is actually on display at the Smithsonian, and we'll show that one here in just a little bit. This historical plaque, various picture collages brought in by family members. I was talking to the head of the historical commission here, and they talked about this particular grouping of memorabilia just growing and growing and growing based off of people's personal collections and personal recollections of Minnie. The Grinders Switch name that Cousin Minnie made famous. Sarah Cannon's character Minnie Pearl said that she was from the fictional town of Grinders Switch. In fact, Grinders Switch was just a railroad switch, and people would come from all over. And that's one thing I don't think people really get the gist of how famous Minnie was. People would drive from all over looking for Grinders Switch, when in fact her hometown was here in Centerville. that Centerville started in 1823. It's a wonderful town. I really enjoyed it. I hope you get the chance to come down if you're in the area. It's about 50 miles or so south of Nashville. And now we get to see a lot of the items on display: Minnie Pearl dolls, Minnie Pearl hats, Minnie Pearl fans, things that were made actually during the homecoming for Tennessee back in 1986. A Minnie Pearl chia pet-like thing, it almost looks like. There was so much memorabilia of her here in the Chamber of Commerce. It was really neat to see. And then famous landmarks around Centerville. I like the fan, I think, best of all. Minnie Pearl mugs. You want it, we got it. Never having children, Sarah and Henry would spend a good portion of their lives at this wonderful home in Nashville, Tennessee, where they would invite friends, family, and would always decorate to the nines no matter the season. In fact, their house sat right next to the Tennessee governor's mansion. Some might even say it looked a little nicer. After more than 50 years as a performer, Minnie Pearl had accomplished so much over her career. And in 1987, her peers wanted to show her just how much she meant to them.
Minnie's show business contributions were recognized in 1975 when she was inducted into the Country Music Association's Hall of Fame. You know, there's a poem that Minnie keeps on her desk at home. A bell's not a bell till you ring it, and a song's not a song till you sing it. And love in your heart wasn't put there to stay, and love isn't love till you give it away. Minnie, you've given more than your share, honey. We all love you. Ladies and gentlemen, for 74 years of love and laughter, the Academy's Pioneer Award is presented to Minnie Pearl.
Thank you. I am really proud to be here. At my age, you're proud to be anywhere. I make people happy by not singing. But I do want to thank Jim and Terry and Judy Popsky and all these nice people at the Halls Agency. They put up with me for 20 years. And I want to say this, that the Lord's been good to me because he gave me Henry Cannon for 40 long, happy years.
Having beaten cancer and in 1991 now semi-retired from life on the road, on June the 15th in Joliet, Illinois, Minnie would perform what would ultimately be her last performance, as a stroke suffered 2 days later would leave her bedridden for much of the next 5 years. Throughout those 5 years, from 1991 to 1996, Minnie Pearl would get visited by a who's who of those in the country music, the political, the entertainment industries, and she appreciated that love. And Minnie, they appreciated your love too. On 1996, at age 83, Minnie Pearl would pass away from an additional stroke. Her husband, Henry, would live 1 year longer, and he himself would join her in 1997. Minnie was buried in the Mount Hope Cemetery in Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, and as you can imagine, the services were attended by a great number of people, mourning Miss Minnie. In fact, she was mourned all across the world. This First Lady of Country Music and Entertainment would be missed by all. Mrs. Sarah Ophelia Cannon, given the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1992 by President George W. Bush, the first female ever inducted into the Comedy Hall of Fame, an illustrious 50-plus year career. Yet when asked what was her favorite part, it was giving back, and give back she did. Throughout her career, she was heavily involved in her church, Brentwood Baptist, giving to the Children's Miracle Network, the Boys and Girls Club, the Humane Society, and the list could go on and on. Perhaps she is most well known in her post-career for the Sarah Cannon Cancer Institute, that is now a part of several states, branching out from its original home in Tennessee. Many people have utilized the services of this institute, and it will continue to touch many lives in the future. So how do you properly memorialize such an icon? Well, it's hard to do it, but Tennesseans have certainly tried. Never had the chance to take a picture with Minnie? You are in luck. She got the Madame Tussauds treatment, and anytime you're in Nashville, come see Miss Minnie Pearl. We told you earlier about the hat that was in the Smithsonian. This is it. And here's a little trivia question for you. That price tag, what's that about? Well, it's a pretty simple answer. The very first time the wardrobe was being put together for Cousin Minnie, they forgot to take the price tag off. It was such a hit that it stuck around. Next, we have a statue that was erected by Rod Harris, a fan of Miss Minnie, and he wanted this to inspire the people in her local town, especially the youth. And if you notice, the courthouse from earlier in the video, yep, we're talking about Centerville, Miss Minnie's hometown. Seems like a great idea. Bringing a statue would be a great focal point for the town. It'll inspire the young people as they're growing up. Hey, I can be anything I want to be. Only stipulation by Rod Harris, hey, don't move the statue. I want it to be in the center of town. And it was. The only problem was it became such a focal point of the town. So many people were coming to take pictures with it. It was starting to become a traffic hazard. People would stop to try and get a full picture of the statue. There was even fears of them running into the statue, so a small rock wall was built around the statue. All these things were starting to anger Rod, and he moved the statue out of Centerville. Next, the statue would go to nearby Linden, Tennessee, and it would reside at the Commodore Hotel, a hotel from 1939. It would reside there for a few years. Oh, but it's not done yet. Then the statue moves to the Grinder Switch Winery back in Centerville. Yep, it's going to move again. The next time it completely leaves the state, a statue of Minnie Pearl, no longer in Tennessee, goes all the way to Kentucky. Then, finally, in its final move, comes back to Linden and is still, as of this video, at the Commodore Motel. So stop by and see it while you still can. There is now a new drive to get a statue back in Centerville, a permanent statue. This is the artist representation of it, and even the family is involved. So good luck to them on that. And finally, when the Ryman was looking to memorialize Miss Minnie in statue form, they looked to none other than country music star Shelley Wright and self-described huge Minnie Pearl fan.
Such a great role model for any woman who wanted to make it in the industry. It was widely known that I was a fan and that I understood Miss Minnie, the character. So as the Grand Ole Opry was, or the Ryman Auditorium rather, was preparing to fashion a bronze sculpture to put in the Ryman Auditorium, which now does sit in the lobby there at the Ryman, they said, well, call Shelley to come sit for the photos that would be taken, after which the statue would be fashioned. So I took my Minnie hat and my Minnie dress, which I still have to this day, and I went and sat for the hundreds, if not 1,000, Polaroid photos that they were taking to kind of, so the sculptor would get an idea of how to make the statue. And at one point, the sculptor asked me to sit in a way that I knew Sarah Cannon would sit, but Miss Minnie, the character, would not sit. And there was also someone sitting as Roy Acuff. And so at one point I said, may I speak up? I said, Sarah Cannon would sit with her legs crossed, but Minnie Pearl would be sitting this way with her legs cockeyed, and she'd be giving Roy what for, and she would, as if to say, oh, Roy. And they said, oh, that's great, that's great. And so they took the photos of that.
And when my second grade class studied Tennessee history, we had Tennessee Day, where everyone dressed up as their favorite Tennessee hero. Guess who dressed as Minnie Pearl? You guessed it. That's me at the age of 7. And here we leave you with a picture of Grinder's Switch, which meant so much to Minnie Pearl. And I hope that you all find your own grinder switch.
So everybody, in honor of Miss Minnie Pearl, we're going to be doing a giveaway for this video. So the big prize will be this Grand Ole Opry glass mug, bought at the Opry in Nashville. And also, you're going to have a shot at postcards from the building where Miss Minnie was discovered, that Knights of Pythias building, which is now the Chamber of Commerce. So you got 5 chances to win. All you got to do in the comment section is say, howdy, and we'll pick 5 names at random. Good luck, everybody, and we'll be in touch. 1, 2, 3. Howdy!
We're so proud to be here.
And we were so proud that you were here too. Thanks for watching this about the wonderful character of Minnie Pearl. Miss Sarah Cannon was a Tennessee treasure, and I hope you learned a little bit more about her than maybe you knew before. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and make sure that you entered for that giveaway. Take care.